bonjour or hola. My name is Cesar Miguel or Cesar Miguel. Right now, I'm doing an interview with Janice Baskin. So Janice has been in the space for many years. She is the manager of ERIN. ERIN stands for the Edmonton Innovation Regional Network. It's one of 8 RINs within the Alberta space that talks about community initiatives, grant funding, entrepreneurship, really anything to get people out and going, to build an ecosystem where people can be belonging to really initiate the next step of the process. So she does a lot within the ecosystem. She's a really great person to talk to. I love her a lot. Every time I see her, always hugs around. So please join me on this journey. It's been a great process, a great thing to really do to find out what's happening within the Edmonton space. So hopefully I'll learn more about it. Please like and subscribe and join me on this interview, and stay if you want to know more about what's happening within Edmonton, because there's a lot. Ciao and have a good day. So Miss Janice Baskin, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Cesar.
Yeah, so I know you just came back from, you said the U of A, correct?
Yeah, Enterprise Square, so the U of A campus building downtown.
So you can tell me a little bit about what you did there right now?
So we are working on an initiative with the innovation team at the U of A around a pitch clinic. So making an opportunity available for early stage founders to have a space where they can come, develop out their pitches, and get feedback so that they are ready when an event comes up, or if they're going to be going in front of investors. Or
is this with the eHub Innovation? Is it also the UA Innovation Fund too?
So no, this particular pitch clinic, it came out of just myself and Savannah Lane, who is one of the directors over at
She's awesome.
Innovation team. Yeah, she's amazing. We just started talking about how a lot of times, especially in academic research, if they have something that they're looking to commercialize, they often struggle with the translation between sort of the scientific aspects of what they're working on to be able to communicate that in a way that is really understandable to just like
business,
the general audience.
Yeah.
And so we thought, what a great way for us to support not only researchers, but just anyone who's developing out their pitch, and they're just sitting there going like, I don't know, is this good? Are people going to respond to what it is that I'm saying? Right? To be able to get that like immediate feedback, and then make some changes and work through it. And then we'll do multiple sessions to help them sort of hone that down into a really succinct 3 to 5 minute pitch.
Is this only at the U of A? Because I know right now we have the U of A, we have downtown Edmonton with Edmonton Unlimited. Do you grab them? Do you ever put them also in the Edmonton Unlimited ecosystem too? Or is it only within the U Alberta ecosystem? Or that they're, I guess, how is that nurtured in a sense?
Ideally, it comes from all sort of aspects of the ecosystem. So if we can tap them into Edmonton Unlimited, into AMI or API, depending on what industry you're working in, Alberta Innovates, the more collectively that entrepreneur service providers can come together and support them, the better. And that's really what the RINs, like the Regional Innovation Networks, are designed to do. And,
yes.
And is to bring all of those pieces together so that we're all working to the same direction to help founders.
Okay, so before we get into that, I want to know more about your background. So I've been doing a little bit of research about you. So you did Camelot Interiors, which is not tech and policy. So what is it? How'd you get into it? And how does that translate to where you are right now?
Yeah, so Camelot Interiors is a company that I own with my husband. He started the company in 1997. So we're coming on 30 years.
30 years?
Yes. He's a wee bit older than me.
Yes.
And so about 15 years ago, he had a business partner. She was retiring, and he was just feeling like, I don't have the capacity to do this all on my own. But he didn't want to necessarily go out and hire someone. And I was working in a position where I wasn't super happy with my work-life balance. And so we just kind of sat down and had a discussion, and we decided, I should say, that I was going to buy out his partner and own half of the company.
How's that work then? Because I talked to Peter Keith, and he said sometimes couples have to choose between business and a relationship. How'd you make that work?
Yeah. So my husband and I genuinely just love spending time together. And for us, with the job that I was in previous to this, to the business ownership, I was working long hours. Like lots of times I'd be at work at 5 a.m. and I'd be at work until, 10 p.m. I had small children.
Was that BNI, which you worked for before?
I worked for the YMCA.
The YMCA, okay.
Program director there. And just the building itself was open from 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. And so staff had to be around. And I had small kids at the time, and it just felt like we were new in our relationship, and we felt like we were not spending quality time together, that it was always sort of passing at the door or saying hello before we went to bed, or like barely having time to sit down and have a meal as a family. And there's a whole bunch of personal stuff that comes into it, but when we first got together, the one thing that we realized was that quality time is both of our love language.
Yes.
And so we really felt like, okay, this is not going to work for us. So how do we go about creating a life that will enable us to, make a good living, but also to spend time with one another? And my mom always jokes, she's like, oh, you guys just went into business together so you could hang out. Like, yeah, totally.
That's one of the reasons, right?
Yeah. And so for us, we have successfully done that. We've created this nice little life that, with the business as sort of the catalyst to be able to spend time together and to, have the flexibility to spend time with our kids when they were little. They're all kind of grown up now. But,
yes.
So it doesn't work for everybody. Not everyone can work with their spouse. And, but for us, it worked.
That's good to hear. So how's that experience translates, or what do you see differently right now that you are in? Because that's more, I believe it's drapers and doing curtains, correct?
Yeah, window coverings. Yeah.
Window coverings, right? So how'd you get from there to tech innovation policy implementation?
Yeah, it's a big leap, right?
There's a big leap, yes.
So over the years of owning Camelot,
yes,
I got really invested in the business community. And I spent a lot of time, so you mentioned BNI. I spent a lot of time with BNI. I spent a lot of time doing business development through networking. And the skills that I learned in BNI really taught me how to build a network of people around yourself where you're being collaborative.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot, so for instance, the story I like to tell is that one of my closest partners in business was my competitor. So she owned a store that did the exact same thing that I did. Mm-hmm. But she carried a couple different product lines that I didn't carry and wasn't interested in picking up. And she was newer in business, and so wanted opportunities to learn things that maybe weren't clients that were ideal for us anymore at our later stage in business. And so I referred lots of clients to her.
Really?
And the clients would say, because rather than saying to a client, no, I can't help you, go back to Google or whatever.
Exactly.
I would say, you know what, this isn't a good fit for what we're looking for as a business, but I do have someone that I know will treat you really well and she'll take good care of you. And clients were like, you're sending me to your competitor?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a good person and she's in business and she's going to do a great job.
So you foster that ecosystem a little bit too, right? So it's a collaborative effort, right?
Yeah.
There's enough of the pie for everybody in a sense.
And as I always say, it's that mindset of abundance that really grew our business. And what happened was COVID.
Yep.
But we had spent all this time leading up to 2020 really developing out our professional network and referral partners. And when COVID hit, our business, we went down for a month. And then we had consecutively our best 3 years ever.
After a month of going downhill, 3 years after, so consecutively.
April of 2020, so everything shut down in March.
Yes.
April of 2020, our phone started ringing and it didn't stop to the point where it was unsustainable.
Too much demand. Yeah.
So, And I really honestly do attribute that to the pre-work that we did in building out these collaborative business partners, because we were just getting referrals. We've never paid a dime for advertising ever. Like no magazine ads, no TV ads, nothing.
But everyone knew each other within the community that they said, this is a person that can help you. This is a person that can help you. And then it builds a huge ecosystem where like everyone relies on each other.
Yes, exactly. Well, and I mean, everyone was working from home in COVID and no one could go on vacation. So people were putting their disposable income into their homes, which was really nice for people working in the home trades, right? So the whole industry saw kind of a bit of during time, but it just happened to be really great for us. And I feel like if we had been sitting on our heels, not building those relationships, COVID could have looked really, really different for us. So how that sort of then translated was that it actually accelerated our exit strategy. We started looking at what the company was worth and what our next steps were. And we do have adult children, and so they expressed some interest in maybe taking over the business. And so to start facilitating that, my husband's plan is to retire, and he's probably on the golf course. So it's working out well for him.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite ready. So I wanted to look for a job that could sort of marry my love of community and building collaborative partnerships with entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. So I literally just put a alert on LinkedIn for community, entrepreneurship, and networking, I think. And it sent me any jobs that had those keywords in it.
Yes.
And this job came up.
Yes.
And I was like, this looks awesome.
Yep.
It looks like exactly what I'm looking for.
I think I know which job you're referring to, but before we get into it, because like that, I want to speak about ERIN in depth a lot more. But before ERIN, can you talk to a little bit about your networking, your strategy with BNI, for example, right? I believe it's a client referral business. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So BNI is a franchise organization, and you pay a membership, and there are lots of rules and participate in meetings. But at the essence of it, really what it is sort of building this network of saying, like, I will give to you before or without expectation of you returning anything to me. It's trademarked. It's Skipper's Gain is their thing. But what that instilled, I've never been a cutthroat business person. I've always just been the type of person that wanted to help other people. Mm-hmm. And so the philosophy just worked really well with my mindset. And so I took the skills that I learned there of like, okay, well, like if I'm sitting down with you, the first question I'm going to ask you is, how can I help you? And it's just natural that people will go, well, sometimes they're really surprised, or sometimes they go, oh, well, I would love this. And they're like, well, how can I help you? And I'm like, if you meet a client that needs some window coverings, great.
I like that.
That's memorable. People remember that. Now, the way that you really create that is when you actually follow through. Yeah. So if I say to you, Cesar, like you say, well, I'm looking for people who, need commercial lending for their businesses. Yep. When I'm out in a conversation with someone and I say, and they tell me like, oh, I'm having issues like getting a loan or whatever for my business, I can go, well, I know someone.
Yes.
Do you want to meet them and just have a discussion and at least get some information, education?
How to walk them through the steps too, right? Because even if I can't approve them, at least I can refer them to somebody else, which will be the whole ecosystem to get them approved for their business, right? Yes. And I love your question of how can I help you, which plays to a bigger question of how can we work together, right? It's not like it's like, yes, it's an I thing, but at the same time as how can we make this a very mutual agreement where we just have the most beneficial from our interactions together, right? So that's a huge, I feel like it's like a huge thing to start up, an ecosystem or to get people more involved. It's an invitation, right? We could play together.
Yes. Yeah. And there's been studies done on this. Like, it's not just necessarily like this feels good sort of willy-nilly business strategy. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Adam Grant.
Sounds familiar.
He's
Can you remind me?
organizational psychologist who does a lot of work around, mindset and business mindset. But he has a book called Give and Take, I think it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually research-based evidence around people who are identified as givers and that they're happier in life, that they have larger amounts of success generally. They, report higher earnings, like all of these types of things that it's not necessarily just like, and I'm a rose-colored glasses gal, I'm very positive, but I'm like, it's not just that. Like there actually is some science behind the psychology of it and why it's a beneficial business strategy.
I think it is, but it seems like right now we have like a culture. I feel like the movies we have or the TV shows we have, like Mad Men, Suits, they're very cutthroat, right? And then you feel like business is a lot different compared to what they advertise for like the dramatic type of scene for these movies and these TV shows.
Yeah, and that that certainly exists.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
But not here in Edmonton. That's not over here.
Correct. No.
Too good.
And I don't spend a lot of time, and maybe this is a poor sort of sweeping statement to make, but like in some of those C-suite higher, like 10 million up sort of type businesses, maybe it does get a little more cutthroat. Although saying that, I know of local companies that do that type of revenue and more, whose business owners, or CEOs, they spend time at night with students, like talking to them about entrepreneurship, and they, will take a coffee with just about anybody.
Yes.
That attitude does exist still in those like really higher echelons of business.
Was this like the top 1% to 2%, right? Because most businesses are small businesses, right? That's the whole economy behind it. So it's nice to hear that Edmonton has a very collaborative effort with small businesses that you can jump in anytime. There's risk, yes, but you're with people together, yes. Right? And you feel like that's a very unique position that Edmonton has.
I do actually. I think that we're community led and we're scrappy and we're
yeah.
I think people in Edmonton genuinely believe in developing genuine relationships, and I think that sometimes people feel like that's like I've also heard people say, well, it's our business community is a bit cliquey. So like you kind of have to be like a cool kid.
Oh,
to be part of it, right?
Yes.
And someone said that to me the other day, and I said, okay, I can understand how it would feel that way, because you might go into a setting and you see groups of people talking and everyone seems to know each other, and if you're new, that can be really intimidating. Mm-hmm. But the other thing is that I think with any community where it's driven by wanting to help one another, if someone comes in that's new, it's like, does this person share our common belief? Or are they just here to make a sale?
Exactly right.
And so I had sort of said to this person, I'm like, you kind of have to like come in and start to, I don't want to say prove your worth, because everyone is worthy of time and attention, but more or less sort of show that you also share the values of the community. And then once people see that, they really they'll invite you in.
Yes.
And so, and as long as we continue to pass that along, it will be self-perpetuating.
How does that look like then, right? Because if somebody comes in the community, is it just asking the right questions? Is it action-based? What really gets somebody, how do you really show that, you are a part of a collaborative effort and not just here for yourself and then make one sale?
Yeah. I'll speak to my personal experience. So when I started this job, I didn't really know anyone in this particular space. And there were days where I would come to Edmonton Unlimited, or I would go to a conference. I literally cried the first day that I went to Inventures, which was the Alberta Innovation Conference. I cried. I went back to my hotel room because I was like, everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
There's thousands of people in this conference center, and I felt like I didn't know anyone. I felt like I didn't belong, like I didn't know the language people were speaking. I didn't understand the acronyms people were using. And I was just very overwhelmed by it all. And for me, you know, once I dried my tears, it really is about like how you build relationships is you come in with a sense of giving and with a sense of curiosity. Mm-hmm. So asking questions, trying to understand things, admitting that you're wrong or admitting that you don't know something. So I spent a lot of time just going, I'm sorry, like, can you explain to me what that actually...
What does this acronym stand for?
Right. And people were very generous about giving me their time. And so I think when you come into things not knowing everything or knowing that you don't know everything, being humble, being curious, and just being open to everybody. And that's the other thing is like you sort of have to try to remove judgment.
Okay.
People will assess you pretty quickly and go, oh, okay, look, I think, and then from there it's sort of like do the things you say you're going to do. So as you
action based.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So as you meet people, like if you say, I'm going to introduce you to so-and-so, like do the thing. Because the minute you don't, you've lost your credibility.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Do you feel like your role, because your background is psychology, so do you feel like that kind of prepares you for going to this type of mindset of, yes, I got to understand people, understand their psychology, afterwards, how do I implement it with actionable based results?
That's such a great question. This is not a post-secondary educations are important because they expose people to a range of experiences and skills and things that they may not have otherwise developed. But I will say that my education in psychology provided me with very little like actual ground work for my professional.
It was all theoretical, not enough practical. Yes. And I know you do read a lot, right? Because there's a lot of books that we do relate upon.
Yes.
For example, like Chris Voss, right? He's one of my favorite speakers to like listen to, right? Never Split the Difference. So do you think like just they kind of like fostered a little bit or nurtured you a little bit to go from, you know, from the theoretical, read more theoretical and how to implement it too in the future?
Yeah, I think certainly. Again, it's a lot. I think I went into psychology because of the way that I'm wired. Like I'm just wired to like want to give and want to help. And so I thought that was the path to do that. And worked for a long time in not-for-profit industry where, you know, I did a lot of that work. But what I realized is that you can do that anywhere with anything. And so probably the greatest teacher of those types of skills for me was being a parent.
Okay. Yes.
So recognizing that this, I like to talk in examples. So every child has had a situation where they're having a meltdown and their parent says to them, oh, you're just tired. Mm-hmm. That's just our natural response to be like, oh my God, you're tired, or oh my God, you're hungry. And whereas that might be true is also invalidating to that child's experience.
Yes.
So when you relate to children and you go, these are actually they're human beings and I can't prescribe to them what they're feeling or thinking, but I can validate that. And that is to me, the biggest gift you can give a child. And as I learned that skill, I realized that at all of our base, that's what human beings are.
Yep.
We want validation. And I don't mean like necessarily a pat on the head, but we
like respect.
We want to be seen. We want to be heard. We want to be respected. We want people to, even if you're feeling something that I don't understand, I can still go, that must be really uncomfortable for you. Mm-hmm. And rather than saying you should. And so when it comes to business, it's the same thing. When you think about business, like people.
It's run by people.
Running businesses, they're scared.
Yeah.
They're not sure what their next step is. They don't know who's there to support them. They don't know if someone's going to take advantage of them. All kinds of things. And so if the community, and for myself, like, again, this is my philosophy, is like, if you can just show up and say, listen, like, you've come this far, this is amazing, here's a possible next step, but let's figure this out. That's really validating.
It is. It's huge, right? Yeah. Do you recommend in working with kids a little bit to get yourself, because I feel like the more you diversify, if you don't, because having a kid is very, I guess, hard nowadays. You got to find the right partner. You think just going back to basics, can I volunteer with the YMCA? Can I volunteer with the Big Brothers, Big Sisters? Should I volunteer with, I think, Play for Kids, right? To get yourself into a diverse mindset of recognizing that at the end of the day, we're all hardwired the same, right? With these instinctual needs, right? And we're going to be taken advantage of. And then trying to build it from there into a business mindset, right? They have the exact same triggers, exact same mechanisms, right? And how do you foster it, and how do you get them to become more encouraged, to speak out more, to take on more risk, and to realize that we're all in this together, and it's a community and collaborative effort.
Yeah. And I mean, for me, it was, and quite honestly, it was raising teenagers, because that, but, and it doesn't necessarily have to be working with kids. Like, it comes back to experiencing things. I always tell young people, like, when they're in university, volunteer, give back in some way, shape, or form. Number one, it builds your resume. So you're not coming out of university without any sort of experience doing something. But also, it allows you to experience things outside of what you would normally experience.
Yeah.
And books do the same thing for me.
Yeah.
So when I read, I can experience what someone's life in Calcutta might be like, or what someone's life in, Sweden might be like, and start to get an understanding.
These stories.
Yeah, they're stories. And then that helps to develop empathy and, again, that curiosity and that understanding. So I think, like, the overall, like, for me, is like sort of getting out of a tunnel mindset and sort of opening that up and understanding that, like, everybody, I tell my kids this all the time, nobody knows what.
Yes, that's
like,
legit.
Care if they are 60 or 20.
Yeah.
And if they do know what they're doing, it's brief.
Yes.
Because tomorrow something might happen.
It's a dynamic environment.
So, like, there's no such thing as, like, sustainable joy and, like, celebration all the time.
Yeah.
It's not the way life works.
Yeah. Well, there's always hardship around the corner, right? I like how Jordan Peterson says that you always got to prepare for a flood, because there's going to be a flood eventually, right? And it goes since, like, biblical a little bit too, right? Yeah. There's going to be something happening that you can't really expect, but the only thing you can really do is be prepared for it. How do you turn how do you stop it from being a disaster to only being a tragedy, right? Something a little bit more or less. It's going to be bad either way, right? But how do you prepare yourself for it?
Yeah.
Right.
And I give the example, like, right now, my life is amazing. Like, I mean, like, there's a book that's called, I think it's called Finish with Zero, Finish with Nothing. But anyway, it's this whole concept of, like, when you're in your middle age, so I'm 46, when you're in your midlife, so for me, my kids are late teens, early 20s. They're all healthy. They're, in school. They're not without their struggles, but they're doing well. They're thriving where they're at. And my parents are in their early 80s, and they're also healthy and thriving and doing well. And we are at the peak of probably the most we'll ever earn in our lives, my husband and I. And so we're doing really well financially. And then that also, maritally, we're doing well, and relationship-wise,
mentally, spiritually, financially.
Yes. Just this, like,
physically.
I use this because it's a peak.
Yes.
Right in the peak right now.
Yes.
And it will not last forever.
Yes.
And I don't mean to say that, like, I'm sitting around waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's just the reality of life.
Yeah.
Someone will get sick. Someone will, have something happen that is an emergency, or parent may die. Like, these things, it's just the natural evolution of life.
It's phases, yeah.
And so for me, it's not necessarily about how am I going to, like, sitting around and going, how am I going to mitigate that? Like, how am I going to deal with it when it happens? It's about just the understanding that it will happen.
Yes.
And I'm a little more floofy than Jordan. It's a little bit more like clouds passing through the sky. Right? Like,
yes.
It's all, everything is what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing lasts.
Nothing lasts, yes. Do you feel like that's where business too? Because people always want their business to last, like the Roman Empire, for example, right? Not realizing that businesses do have a short time frame, right? They have peaks, they have ups and downs, and then they end eventually, right?
Yeah, and I think there's, you see instances of people gripping onto that power, that control, or that money for at the expense of others, at the expense of the planet or whatever.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's sort of where we start to get in trouble as a human race.
It's when we don't know how to let go.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah, yes.
Yeah. So what's really interesting is that, and I learned this from my husband as a business owner, is that as a society, we sort of have this measure, and we're guilty of this in the tech industry, of being like, success is the unicorn,
it's a Lamborghini, it's a yacht, it's the
$100 million,
exit, yeah.
So, and that's the thing we splash around in the news. Those are the things that we celebrate as successes as a community sometimes. But success can be owning a small little blind company that does, employs 3 people and does a few $100,000 of revenue a year for 30 years.
Yep.
And it never has to be more than that. But we're often measured by a
metric
or stick. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
When I started to realize that you can run a business and be happy and have a really certain type of lifestyle, that was where kind of the light bulb went off. And
the door is open to different opportunities, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, and it's not for everybody. Like, lots of people like scale, and there's nothing wrong with that either. But I think, like, in Alberta, this is a bit of a soapbox that I stand on, but I think that in Edmonton and in Alberta, we are a ecosystem of small businesses.
Yeah.
I don't know what the percentage is, but the vast majority of businesses in Edmonton and in Alberta are small businesses. And there is tremendous strength in the collective success of those small businesses. And having this metric of it needing to be these big, huge companies that drive revenue and drive jobs and drive, like, that is all important as well. But we can't forget that collectively, all of these companies are doing things that sometimes we look to one company to do.
Yes.
And that bothers me.
It does. So on a lighter note, though, because I do want to speak about the elephant in the room, right? Because I know your role, which is in ERIN, right? So you tell me a little bit about it. What do you do? What does the organization do? How do you help small businesses, and how do you get the whole community and ecosystem uplifted in a sense too?
Yeah. So the ERIN is one of 8 RINs, so Regional Innovation Networks across the province.
And then E stands for Edmonton.
Yes. And we're all funded by Alberta Innovates. So the Regional Innovation Network is a program of Alberta Innovates. And what they've done is they've put together a pool of funding that communities throughout the province can come together as a collective to apply for funding to support entrepreneurship and innovation and technology early stage in those communities. And so we have a steering committee that's made up of local companies, that's made up of service providers, government representatives, municipal representatives, and they, through me, so I'm contracted to sort of manage the day-to-day operations, apply for money to Alberta Innovates to say, this is how we're going to support early stage entrepreneurs. And so when I say early stage, like, we are often working with people who just have an idea. Is this even possible? Is this something I can do? Or people who have built a prototype and they're not quite sure how to, build it into something scalable or commercializable, or even what it means to build that into a business. Because when we support them at that early stage, then they can continue to grow and eventually, be access funding, capital, whether it's dilutive or non-dilutive, those types of things, and grow into whether it's one of those small businesses or
a unicorn. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And what does support look like then? Because support can mean a variety of different things, right?
So each ERIN does it a little bit differently. So through the ERIN, we have a few mechanisms. So we fund early stage programs. So we fund some of the programs at Edmonton Unlimited, like Business Model 101, Discover and Validate, Build, Test, Learn, as well as their Experts on Demand program. And then there's also an Innovator on Campus program, which is basically for entrepreneurship for people who are on any one of our 7 post-secondaries in the region to be able to access business services. And so we fund those programs. We have a community initiatives fund as well. So that fund is designed to have grassroots groups or collaborations of organizations and people coming together to run initiatives that support entrepreneurship in innovation and technology. So that can be the YEG Startup Awards, which we both volunteered with. It can be hackathons. It's been, we've had a med tech showcase. We've had Black Business Ventures Association, their tech showcase. So it's designed to be responsive to the needs of the community. And so as long as people can make show that they're being collaborative and make the argument that they're generating impact for entrepreneurs in the ecosystem, we invite them to apply to that fund.
So what's the criteria? What does the application look like then? Because it's basically like a grant, acquiring a grant, correct?
Yeah. So
a lot of people, like there's so many grants out there, a lot of people don't know how to get into it, how to apply, what words to use, for example. So what do you recommend them to do? Like look at the criteria, what words should you use, and then how do you really get accepted, right? How do you know if you're doing something community-based? Falls within your region.
Yes. So the biggest things are, other than it, you need to be serving at the Edmonton region, and that's not just Edmonton, but sort of our outlying region as well. The collaboration is number one. So we don't fund anything that's even has the whiff of business development, I will say. So if you're looking to generate revenue or generate sales for your organization, your business, we're not interested in funding that. What we're looking for is organizations that come together to collectively support, or people. So like the YEG Startup Awards, there are no organizations involved in the planning of that. It's individuals through the ecosystem that come together and say, we want to recognize the people. And every year it's a different group of people.
It is.
So it's sort of having that collective spirit of this is how we're going to support innovation and entrepreneurship. So that's the number one thing. We show collaboration through obviously bringing other people into the planning process, but also they're providing in-kind services or additional monetary contributions. We score it.
Just go back, Janice. So you don't need to have like a footprint, like what you did before. If you have just like a plan to do something, you can already apply.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Like so I should say that these are up to $10,000 grants. So it's a small investment to just try something out and see. So I was not around when this happened, but the example that Alberta Innovates often uses is Startup TNT.
Yes.
So Startup TNT was originally a ERIN-funded project.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I had to confirm because, maybe Zach and Tim will be like, but so Zach used to be on the ERIN steering committee. And so that is how Startup TNT began, and then they became self-sustaining. So in an ideal world, we're supporting something, and then it can go out and grow into something that continues to support the
Yes, you're planting seeds, right? And I feel like you guys, for an analogy, you guys are like, or a metaphor, you guys are the water, right? Until it's big enough where the environment can kind of foster it, make it grow into a bigger type of tree or whatever that gives back apples, pears, or whatever. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. And then in addition to the funding, we also I spend a lot of my time just doing wayfinding with early stage entrepreneurs. entrepreneurs. So if an early stage entrepreneur is sitting at home, and I've met these people, I met a gentleman who had been working in his basement on a project for 6 years by himself.
6 years.
He had binders and binders and binders of research.
Yep.
And he was just like, is there help? I'm like, yes.
Is there recognition? That goes back to that too, right? Yes.
There's
So,
like, wish we could have met 6 years ago.
we go, yes.
And so, getting them connected into those programs and services, the question people are always like, what's the path? My answer is always, there's no path.
Yep.
There are many paths. And so, helping people to understand what the right path for them is. And sometimes that's, it always involves referring them to support organizations, but understanding, what their needs are and the way they like to learn and work with people is also tremendously important. I think that sometimes we miss. Not everyone wants to sit in a class for 8 weeks.
No one does, yes.
Right. So if that person is like, maybe if they're on the spectrum or they're neurodiverse and it's like, I can't learn in those environments. It's like, okay, well, how do we have other resources? Like, how do we work with you along that? And then, so I spend a lot of my time doing that type of thing. And then we have a membership program. And the membership is always free, and it will be while I'm around. I've fought very hard for that over the last couple of years.
Really? They want to have a little bit of a fee to it?
Well, there's always this notion that like people are more engaged. And it's true. Like,
skin in the game, I think they call it. Yes.
Yeah. Like, and it is true. But I think there are plenty of places where people can go to network, to get access to resources where they can pay.
Yes.
And because our mandate is early stage, they don't have the money for those things. And so if we can play a small part in
lower the barrier to entry, yes.
I think it's the least we can do. And we have all this funding from Alberta Innovates. To me, it just makes sense. So the membership program is kind of always in flux. It's, some months we have people, like right now, we have access to a couple of really cool artificial intelligence platforms for business development that are, at a really low cost for members. Yeah. Those are sort of pilot projects that we work on with other developers. We showcase people, our members, the work that they're doing. We'll, put them in our newsletters and on our social media and that type of thing. We have a couple of events a year that are members only.
Yes.
Where we'll provide some additional value, training. Last year, I brought in a videographer and we allowed members to shoot 3-minute promo videos for themselves.
Really?
Yeah. And the videographer, she edited them all and everyone got a copy and they could do whatever they wanted with it for free.
So membership is free, right? And you get all these different, experiences out of the membership, right? So what are some of the highlighted things that you get from being a member of ERIN?
So it's really as much as you engage, the benefit will sort of be commensurate with that. So if you come out to our events, so for example, every year at our AGM, I hire a headshot photographer. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever gone out for professional headshots, but they're expensive. $300 to $500.
Yeah.
And that's for maybe 2 or 3 digital
photos. Yeah.
Right. So we hire in a headshot photographer and you can get a professional headshot every year. Right there, free membership, $500 value. Pays for itself. Like, it's those sorts of like really simple low touch things that I really look to provide for people. And we're always looking for new ways to provide value to people.
Through the community initiatives. Exactly.
Well, and also like so if there are things where there's a paid fee to attend, a lot of times I will get discount codes and I will flip those to our members. I get free access to a lot of stuff as well, which I'll just, again, give out to our members. I think I had a member say to me, do we have access to like an insurance plan for businesses?
Really?
No, but we should.
Yes.
And so we went out and talked with some folks at Navicord, and now there's a
Insurance?
startup insurance.
Yes.
Right? So,
Yeah.
which they were already working on. Like, it's not like I brought this brainchild to them.
Yeah.
But,
Yes. Yeah.
So when members suggest things to us, like, why wouldn't
We will find it, right? We will support you, right? If you need something, how do we do it together, right? Collaboratively, how can we help?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yes. So what are some of the highlighted events throughout the year that ERIN, where you can like participate in for ERIN?
So the two sort of flagship events, one is called Get to Know Day. And this is something that all the RINs do to some degree or another. And we also do at a RIN level. So 4 times a year, we host Regional Innovation Network across Alberta Get to Know Days. They're virtual, where people can come in and we'll have a panel of speakers who will all just talk about, usually they're service providers, talking about the services they offer. And so especially for rural innovators who are not necessarily well connected to some of the services.
They're not in the city.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they're not even aware that some of these services exist, being able to provide them with access to that. So what we do at the ERIN is we actually book out a whole day, Alberta Innovates building out in the south side in the research park, and we bring in speakers, we do tabletop discussions. It looks a little bit different every year, but last year's when I brought in the videographer and let everyone do videos for themselves. We always try to work with partners because collaboration is key. And then the other one we do is our AGM, which I'm playing with not calling it an AGM because it's not actually an AGM. I mean, we do a little bit of the like financial reporting and things, but really what it is that we are stewards of public dollars. And I want the community, whether you're a member or not, to know where that money is going.
Yeah.
That's important for us to have the role that we have. If we're quiet about where our money goes, we're defeating the purpose of the ERIN. So that's the other, and I like to do something fun for it. So this year we actually hired a Rapid Fire Theater, which is like an improv group.
Oh, really?
To create and do some like innovation-based improv. Which was fun.
Yes.
Just something a little different.
Something spontaneous every year, right?
So I like to make it. So I'm this year I called it not your average AGM, and next year I might just call it something
completely different.
AGM, and they go, oh.
Yes, they do, right? You think there's going to be more of like a panelist discussion, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to listen, right? But yours is very interactive.
Yes.
Is what I'm hearing. That's what you want, right? Because you want people to start talking, collaborate, innovate, right? Let's get people together.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So those are our two big events that we do. We do host throughout the year a number of meetups where we'll partner with somebody, typically a service provider, to showcase the work that they're doing. So we've done partnerships with ATB, with the Africa Center, Concordia University, Center for Advanced Medical Simulation at NATE. So really, we're open to partnering, and we want to showcase the work that's happening and the resources that are available. So people, they have more than just a website to visit. They actually understand the physical space and the people who work there.
So besides that too, because those are some of the events they can find you at. Where else can they contact you or contact people in ERIN to get more involved or just to find out where these events are going?
Yeah. So on our website, there's a contact form. People are always like, I don't want to fill out a contact form because nobody reads them. I read every single one.
Really?
I respond. Myself or my colleague, Michael.
Yes.
We respond to every single one personally.
Yeah.
So you will get a response from us.
Yep.
And usually it comes with an invite for a one-to-one meeting. So, unless I get 1,000 contact forms.
Impossible, yes.
But I'm also working on a solution for that.
Yes.
So they can fill out the contact form there. I'm accessible on LinkedIn, Janice Baskin. I will always reply. As long as I don't get the sense that a bot has messaged me, I will reply messages. I actually replied. This was interesting. I replied to one the other day, And when I had a meeting with the guy, he said to me, "Oh, that was my AI agent."
Really?
So
Real?
life.
Yeah.
Like it had an interaction with me, like a back and forth with like, and he even had worked on it so that it had proper timing. So it wasn't just like immediately.
Yes. It was
sneaky.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yes.
like I will reply on LinkedIn, or I mean, my email is janice@edmontonrin.ca, so it's very accessible.
Yes, perfect. Is it just you yourself, or do you recommend anyone else you can contact within the department to get more, I guess, accessibility to these events, or where to look?
Yeah, so on our website, we also have an events page. The events page will have any events that we're hosting, but as well, we try to highlight ecosystem events in general. So if people just want to be, know what's going on, they can go to our, I mean, it's not exhaustive, but we usually have 65 to 70 events per month on the calendar.
Per month.
That are going on in the community.
Yes. Are these only like business events, or just like almost like, what are the constraints on these events?
I mean, some of them are business events. Some of them, like the Edmonton Dev Society, like they see meetups. So that's really more about the developer community. I've had like when we have like consultants or business coaches who are putting on workshops, those are on there. If they come across my plate, or if they send them to me, I'll always put them out there.
Yes.
Business Link, Alberta Innovates Entrepreneurs, those types of things. Yeah. But our ecosystem is rich with resources.
Yes. A lot of people just don't know where to go.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest problem we have. I think Edmonton, for what I believe, Edmonton doesn't really have a good marketing strategy of like how to get people to know about these events. We're very siloed, which is very unfortunate, because we do have the talent, we do have the community. It's just, where do you go? And even when I graduated from U Alberta, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. And then Startup TNT was a big, voice around the community. And afterwards, once you get more involved, and you learn about these different things happening within the community, and it just snowballs. And you're like, now there's too much, now I can't go to all these events.
Yeah.
Right. So when somebody's starting out, let's say somebody new comes to Edmonton, what is one place they should look at immediately to find out where these plethora of events happen?
Yeah, and again, if they're in tech and innovation, I would always suggest Community Coffee at Edmonton Unlimited. I feel like it's free, it's open, you don't have to register, you just show up and there's coffee and snacks and people pitching and people, talking and mixing and mingling. Sometimes you get, 100 people there, sometimes there's 30. It just depends on the day, but it's always...
It was more intimate, right?
Yeah. But, oh gosh, like... it's like you said, like you go, once you meet people,
yes,
you all of a sudden become very aware of all of the things that are happening. So even Taproot is also a great resource. They actually have a calendar on their website that has every event that you can think of, not just business related events, like all big events. Explore Edmonton has lots of things that are, some of the big things that are going on in Edmonton. But I always think, and I'm, it maybe doesn't seem this way, but I'm an introvert.
Yes.
It's always nice to like go where there's a small group of people.
More intimate. Yes.
Volunteer somewhere, right? That's the thing I love about people coming out of our post-secondaries right now is like, they're really eager. Like you, like that's how we met, right? Like,
yes.
It's like get involved, spend time with people, and just understand how you can give back. And like a kind of coming full circle on that discussion, as soon as people see that is your attitude and your approach to the ecosystem, yeah, like you're not going to be able to get to everything that you get invited to.
Exactly. Every high demand, like you said. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess that's what I would recommend is like people finding opportunities to pitch in, to volunteer. There's Technology Alberta takes on volunteers. We take on volunteers. There's lots of ways to get involved.
Perfect. I want to get more into an Alberta mindset, more of a macro point of view, because you spent a lot of time in Calgary, correct?
So with Camelot Interiors, we run in Edmonton and Calgary.
Yes.
So we spent a ton of time in Calgary when I was in operations. With that, in this role, now that Adventures doesn't happen, I don't go to Calgary as much. We do spend twice a year. All of us RINs get together in some part of the province.
I see.
So in the spring and March, we were in Calgary. In September, we're going to be in Medicine Hat.
Really?
And we get a sense of what's going on in that region. We get toured around, understand the resources. We connect as RIN partners. And so that we do have that broader provincial lens. Last year, we were in Grand Prairie. So
yes. So if somebody comes, because I know Alberta's seen an influx of people, of capital, right? Because there's a lot of prosperity here and a lot of future potential. So if somebody's coming to Alberta, how do they choose between going to Edmonton, Calgary, or something smaller on the scale too?
Yeah, I think like a lot of it has to do also with demographics.
Yes.
Of the people moving. If they have Calgary is a little bit more expensive than Edmonton to live in, so our cost of living is still somewhat affordable.
Yes.
Here. And so this might be a better scene for folks who are still establishing themselves.
Nice.
As well, depending on so if you're an executive of a Cenovus, well, your office is going to be in Calgary because that's just where those offices exist.
So you feel like if you're more of a big business type of, because I know Calgary has a lot more funding compared to Edmonton too.
They do have a different economic structure than.
Yes, right. So there's a lot of prosperity in both regions. But how do you choose which ones? Like you said, if you're starting off right off the bat, you want to have more of a community, small business effort, Edmonton would be a good place to be. If you want to go more of like a corporate type of anything in like environment, then Calgary would be the best place to be? Or what's a little bit of differences, or are almost the same, you would say?
Yeah, I think it's possible to build either in both places.
Exactly.
You're right. Like Calgary, they have a fund called OSIF, which is their economic development fund. So it's and it's in the tens of millions somewhere.
Yep.
But which we don't have a comparable here. So that is a big draw for a lot of people, especially in tech, to go to Calgary. That being said, we have we have artificial intelligence. We have one of the top organizations in the entire world.
Yeah, we have a lot of talent here.
Yeah.
And through
the U of A, and we also have a really robust life sciences sector here. So I think it really depends on, what you want to spend on housing, what industry you're in, and then whether or not you want to be close to the mountains. Because it is a bit of a drive.
It is. What would you say the different industries are compared to the two cities?
I'm not 100% sure, like what I think Calgary, and again, this is me just making some general assumptions, but they're very, I think, adept in fintech.
Okay.
More a lot of the head offices for places like Cenovus or oil field companies and things like that are there. And so when it comes to large industrial innovation, maybe that's more there.
Well, that makes sense because the corporate offices are there, right? So if you want to talk to the CEOs or the people who are directly involved in changing it, they're one doorstep away, you can say, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Whereas, like I said, in Edmonton, our artificial intelligence community is very robust. Our life sciences community is quite robust.
It is.
And I think Edmonton's a great place for startups, just because I think we have this community vibe. And I will say, it's not a us versus them thing, but
it shouldn't be, right? It's collaborative, you said, right? There's competition, but healthy competition, right?
My husband's from Calgary.
Yes.
We don't hold that against him, but we do have a little bit of rivalry in our house too.
Yes.
Especially during hockey season. But I think we have this, I don't know, it's just, to me, it feels less intimidating. It feels open. It feels like a place where people can experiment and make mistakes and without fear of a whole lot of reprisal. And
Do you feel like there's a lot of like forgiveness here? A lot of like people say is very humble here too.
yeah, I think so. I think people are accepting of the fact that it takes a lot of iterations to make something go.
It does. Yes. Right.
Yeah.
So failure, it shouldn't be seen as like a negative. It should be seen as a learning experience.
Yeah. Although it can be, it can be devastating to experience.
Yes, it can be emotional and financially.
We need to acknowledge
They-
but certainly it's sort of like there's an old parable that's like a man gets this horse and the horse bucks his son off and then his son breaks his arm and his neighbor says, oh, like that's bad luck, you got this horse and it broke your son's arm. And he's like, maybe yes, maybe no. And then, the war comes and the son doesn't get drunk.
Directly because he's broke his arm. Yeah.
The neighbor's like, oh, you have great luck. He's like, maybe yes.
Maybe no.
It's sort of this whole thing of like,
you don't
back to what we were talking about, like nothing lasts forever and it's all, in an ebb and a flow, and we have to be able to go with that. Sometimes when you're in the midst of a failure or in the midst of something difficult, it can be really hard to see beyond that.
Yes.
But always knowing that there is a next step and if we have the community to support that next step, then that's, we're doing the work we're supposed to do.
Every better, yes. I want to speak a little bit about how we can make things better in Edmonton. Do you feel like there's something that we can change or something we can implement maybe tomorrow or the next week or the next month or the next year that we should start focusing on to have a better entrepreneurship community and have a better ecosystem entirely? Like, what's one thing you would change, I would say?
Oh, gosh.
Or many things.
Yeah, that's a really good question. One thing I would change. I think so from a Janice Baskin point of view versus a sort of ecosystem builder point of view, the answer would be different. Like for me personally, I think like removing as much as we can I call it terminal uniqueness. Yes. Where people feel like they are the only ones experiencing something and everyone's judging. And I think the more that we can not judge people, and to be open as a community, we can mitigate the feeling like I'm alone, I'm not doing this well, everyone else has it figured out, I don't. All these sorts of things. I think that as a community, we can get really good, again, and I can't emphasize this enough, at early stage, like just being accepting of people's ideas.
Open mind.
Right. Like at that stage, like where it's a thought in your head, it's not my business whether or not it's a good business idea or not. Doesn't matter.
And it goes back to you don't know, right? Time change, yes.
If nobody knew that Uber was going to be a good business idea.
And everyone's actually using nowadays, yeah.
Right. Because if everyone had known, they would have just invested in it, right? So it's sort of like, I think at early stage, if I could change this one thing, like I do hear a lot of innovators come to me and say, well, they told me my product was stupid, or I was told that this is not a valid business idea, or like those types of things. And I would really just love to be able to remove that from people and say, now I'm not saying like telling every single person
yes. Have the credit, like be criticized, right? But be open to it. And how do you remove that judgment to get you go forward? Encouragement.
Yes.
Right.
Because at the early stage, you need someone to ask you questions to start to give you perspective as to what you need next. You don't necessarily, even though we say tell me what to do next, we don't necessarily need a prescription.
Yes.
We need support.
Yes.
To find our own way. Again, back to parenting, right? And so from a personal perspective, that is what I wish that we could all just support people in that way. I think from an ecosystem perspective, like to your point, we're siloed still. I started this job 2 years ago, and that was one of the things that they said. It's things that I've heard when people have been around for 15, 20 years, silent. So the more that industries and organizations can work together, and not necessarily all serving like one client, but understanding who is who and who does what, and being really clear in those things, and then referring on when it's appropriate, I think that we start to break down silos. And again, it comes with this notion of like, and we're not set up for success in this way because our funding system encourages this sort of gathering of resources and like squirreling that away, right?
Yes.
Because we want it, as an organization, you want to go and get the funding so you can do the thing, and you don't want your competitor to get the funding. So how do you work with that person?
I see, right. And then that causes a little bit of like
this weird like catch-22. And so it's kind of back to my example of working with my competitor, Camelot Interiors. Like understanding that there's a time and a place that someone can do something better for someone than And so as organizations, if we could sort of like figure that out, and a lot of it has to do with the personalities who are leading in those organizations.
I see. So not being fearful, right, of giving a little bit, if realizing that even if I do lose this funding, this is better for the community as a whole.
Right. Abundance.
Abundance. Yes. Yeah.
I know I sound very like frou-frou when I say stuff like that, but it's just the way that my personality is. I just believe in that sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah. Do you feel like, because you when I hear about that, it's a big referral basis, right? How do you publicize each other on each other's platforms, right? Do you ever think about maybe I'll just get like a huge poster and just post it on like the Edmonton Tower, and something like actually physical and visible, or put it on like the buses, for example, right? Or do you think it's mostly just like everyone should try to promote on their own platforms to get more of that spark and more of that word of mouth going out?
Since why your marketing mind is so valuable. What a great idea, right? Like,
that's a big poster, though.
So it's a big poster. But like, let's like play that out for a second. Like, let's say you're the guy that spent 6 years in his basement building the thing himself, and you happen to be out going to the grocery store, and you see a bus go by that says, like, building something in your basement for the last 6 years, but this is building, innovating.
Where to start?
Like, and not necessarily that being an ad for one organization, but that being an ad for the entire.
That's a good idea.
Ecosystem.
So you think like the Edmonton Business, like Downtown Business Association would be a huge.
Maybe something. Yeah, that's interesting.
Because they have resources. I see their posters everywhere. I see their flyers everywhere. Right, they're on the lampposts. They have Downtown Business Association, right? And then it's also good too, because if you go to their website, they should have options of like, these are the different organizations, and then it kind of spreads branches to different areas.
And that's the thing is like we said earlier, you just need one place to get tapped into. And so like I don't think there's any the other thing that people ask all the time, we need a map. We get a map.
Yes, we
I've seen many iterations of this map, and it comes with its own set of challenges to sort of have something that's sustainable and accessible to everybody. But if everybody had their own piece of a map, even.
We need a physical org chart that's continually updated.
Yes.
That'd be pretty cool to have on your website, like a physical org chart where how is it all, like kind of like spider webs. How is all connected, right?
So the one I have seen, and it is literally a scatter plot map, thousands of data points on it.
Written. Yeah.
Like if you have like the founder here, and it's just like.
Yes.
And I think it was a national sort of thing, so it's branched out into like other things that are available. Yeah. But that's the challenge with it is the upkeep of it.
Yes.
Because somebody could publish it tomorrow, and then so-and-so is no longer in that job, or that program has been sunset, and now it's out of date.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. It has to be a live-to-date interactive map where things come and go. I think this organizations to start, having physical people involved, well, that's going to be even more dynamic, right?
People are always like, oh, with AI. I'm like, yeah, you could solve
some of it AI.
But people get frustrated using platforms. They just want to sit down and have a conversation and go, talk to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Like these themes are all coming back, but it's like, I think that, so those platforms and those maps are important.
Yep.
But if you don't have the people who are willing to sit down and have the conversations, then you can send emails to info at such and such and such an organization all day long and never get a response.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So there has to be somebody there to actually facilitate it.
Yeah.
Enact it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had people ask me like, oh, why don't you put an AI chat on your website? I'm like, just...
Doesn't feel right, do you think?
It doesn't feel, not that there isn't value in those type of things, but it just doesn't feel like, to me, I feel like the least we can do is be a friendly face or voice to actually talk to somebody.
Be present. That's what I'm hearing, right? Right. It's a human interaction, not a robotic interaction. It's not something very corporate where it's like, okay, answer these responses and we will direct you to the right department.
Government website if you want to have that interaction.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you guys are funded by the government in a sense, right?
Yeah. So Alberta Innovates is a crown corporation.
Yes. But the whole purpose of it is for you guys to have more of that, more of a human type of perspective, right? Yeah. Where how do you get more involved? How do we facilitate? How do we make it more creative? How do you get you from point A to point B? How do we reduce the judgment? And how do you really get started? Yeah. Right? And if you fall down, we're here to support you. We're here to show you these are the resources that are available to you. There's open doors, right? And you feel like that's the whole objective that ERIN does play in the Edmonton community.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have lots of places where people can go and there's an open door and people they can talk to. I think, so what's unique about the ERIN is that we are not actually an organization. So I don't know if this is also probably important to explain.
Yes.
We don't have organizational status, not even as an agency or an association.
So it's not like I thought it's not a nonprofit. It's not.
So we're a true collective of stakeholders. And so we can't hold a bank account. Yeah. We can't apply for other funding. We can't bring in revenue.
Yeah.
None of these things. So I can't go out and compete for funding with, Edmonton Unlimited or with Black Business Ventures Association or something. I can't apply for funding to Prairies Can. I can't apply to funding anywhere else because I don't have organizational status. And so the reason why that's important is because it leaves us in a neutral place to be able to bring all the voices to one table. And that's really like the purpose, is to say, okay, like we have this pot of money, we support early stage innovation programs and services. What is missing and how do we best, and collectively, I don't make that decision. Collectively, our committee members make that decision.
And that's the steering committee you're talking about, right? And how big is that steering committee?
So our terms of reference, we can go up to 11. Well, currently we have 9.
Good. And how do you decide if somebody can be on that steering committee? Like, how do you know it's the right pick for somebody to be on there, right? The more votes you have, then of course the more conflict I feel like that comes into play.
Yeah, so through the terms of reference that we have, there has to be representation from service providers, from entrepreneurs, from the finance community, and from sort of our municipal representation, not necessarily the city of Edmonton, but like our outlying areas. And so we have a mix of those types of people. And then there's actually a whole rubric around the skills of those people. So whether it's economic development, DEI, funding, grant writing, those types of things, we want to ensure that we have broad representation from not only industries and groups, but also in skill set. And so when we're interviewing people, we generally like to have people who have volunteered on one of our subcommittees, serve on the steering committee.
What is this? What is a subcommittee then? Well, like what are different branches of the subcommittee?
Yes. So we have a membership subcommittee, a governance subcommittee,
Mm-hmm.
community initiative subcommittee, and a post-secondary institute subcommittee. And they all serve different purposes within our state. And so we typically look to recruit from there first because those people will have the
Experience.
funding.
Yes.
There are instances where, say, we don't have a specific representation on those subcommittees that we're looking for within the steering committee, where we will put out a public call for applications. And then there's an interview, there's vetting, there's voting that happens at the steering committee level. So
I see. They get them into the subcommittee. Yes, which makes sense.
yeah.
Okay. And these subcommittees, are they also like, is it like 11 people too? Or is it like 5 people?
Depending on the committees, so the community initiative subcommittee is 7. The membership and governance committee are 5 people. And then the post-secondary institute subcommittee, which is actually really quite unique, is it's made up of representatives from 7 post-secondaries
Okay.
in the region.
I remember being to one of those events.
Yes, that's
yes.
yeah, I think that's what.
Concordia, that's what it was. Yes.
And so they have to be at the assistant or associate vice dean, or associate vice president or vice dean level in order to serve on the committee. And the reason for that is because we want people who can make binding decisions.
People who had a level of power, yes, for implementation.
Off of the institutions. And then we also have entrepreneur representation on that committee as well. And we're the only RIN in Alberta that has a post-secondary committee that has 7 post-secondaries that come to the table every month and talk about how they can work together and just support entrepreneurs, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Consider post-secondaries are businesses.
Yeah.
So technically they're all competitors.
Yeah.
But they come together and just go.
How can we work together?
which is awesome.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, that's sort of the overall structure of it. And the purpose, really is, like I said, that early stage support, and then the collaborative aspect, like who's not at the table, who needs to be involved, where are we missing access to services for people, those types of things.
Yes. Where do people get started? Yes. And then what are the, like you said, to access the services? If there's something that that we don't have, we will implement to get it more feasible for people to come into the community and to get more support and everything, right?
Yeah.
For sure. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Janice. This was awesome. Is there any other closing remarks too? Anything else you want to talk about or anything else you want to touch upon or highlight? Because you do so much work.
Yeah, I guess I should mention that our community initiatives for the spring just closed yesterday. So we do 2 application openings a year, and it will open again in September. So if people out there are looking to organize an event, an initiative, a series of workshops, a hackathon, it can look like many different things. You have to prove that you have some sort of impact to innovation and entrepreneurship in the community, and that you're working together collaboratively with other entities or individuals. Would welcome applications when they open again in September. I usually host a series of info workshops, so kind of keep an eye on the newsletter, or the ERIN LinkedIn page is probably the best way to get that information, so that if you want to apply, you can come to an info session and learn a little bit about.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you for joining me this morning. I know the last meeting got a little bit cut off on the end, so I just want to reiterate what you said about the plugs happening, what's happening new in ERIN in the future, and then, of course, anything closing remarks?
Perfect. Yeah. Technology is great, right? Because we can just do it this way when things get cut off. So coming up for the ERIN, we have a fund called the Community Initiatives Fund. Now, we just finished our spring intake, so applications closed last week, but we will have a second intake for that opening in September. And so this fund is specifically designated to go towards initiatives that support entrepreneurs in the innovation and technology community. So we have funded things from, award shows to hackathons to monthly networking. We're really looking for creative ways and different ways that people can bring the community together and support entrepreneurs in the innovation ecosystem.
Perfect. And you also said you have a newsletter and everything else too, right?
Yes. Yeah. So the best way, as much as I would love to email individually all the people who want to know about this, the best way to kind of keep on top of what we're doing is to subscribe to the ERIN newsletter, which you can do on our website, as well as follow on LinkedIn. We have all of our initiatives and also things that our members are doing posted through those two sources. So it's just a really great way to keep up with what's going on with us and then what's going on with other people as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Janice, for your time. Really appreciate it. I know we had to go a little bit back and forth to get this meeting started, but I love the entire thing, the whole process throughout it. And I hope we get to talk. Well, we're going to see each other again soon. I know that for sure.
Yes, absolutely. For sure. Thanks so much, Cesar.
All right. Have yourself a good day, Janice.
You too.